Well, Larry O'Connell, the British judge who declared the bout a draw, joins us now from his home in Kent. Very good evening to you, Mr. O'Connell.
Good evening. Can I put you straight on one thing?
Go for it.
Before you start interviewing me. And that is, a lady presenter said I felt very sorry for myself. That was not true, and it was never stated by me. Get that straight.
We'll get that straight. I think that I seem to remember reading that quote in an evening newspaper not too far from London, so we'll certainly put that...
Where they got that from, I do not know.
Right, Mr. O'Connell, you've had a day or so to mull over that decision. What do you reckon to it now? You called it a draw. What do you reckon now?
Let me point out one thing. First and foremost, my scorecard is done in such a way that every round I hand my scorecard over to someone else, and that is the supervisor, who then relates it to his scorecard. By the end of the 12 rounds, I don't really know what my score is, and it would be unethical for me to keep my score by my side so I know where I stand. So when the fight was over and they gave the decision, my decision was a draw. That was something I didn't really know at the time.
Would you change that decision now?
No, of course I wouldn't. That'd be unethical. Of course it would. I wouldn't do that. I'd done it as I saw it. I only judged it as I saw it.
Looking back on it now...
And it was a very close fight. Looking back on the fight? In what way?
Looking back on it now, have you had any second thoughts about what you called at the time?
No, no, I don't, actually, Frank. No, I do not. I actually call it as I see it, like every other referee or judge does. That's exactly what he does. As it happened, I didn't know what my score was. Obviously, my heart sank when it was a draw, because the one thing I do not like doing is giving a draw. But in this case, I didn't know what my score was. I had a gut feeling, but my gut feeling was I'd just slightly given it to Lennox, but I didn't know. And when the draw was read out, that's how I saw it.
Now, I mean, you've had a chance to see what people have written. They've written that it was a farce, a travesty, a con, a cheat, daylight robbery. The Americans are ashamed. It's a terrible blow to boxing. You can't feel good about that?
Me can't feel good? You mustn't talk to me as though I don't feel good about it. That's not the question. The question was, was I right or wrong? If I was wrong, it was an honest mistake, and that's the best mistake to make. But at the time, I actually recorded what I saw. What other people saw was entirely different, obviously.
But a lot of people... Sorry, Mr. O'Connell, a lot of people are saying the facts, point to the facts. Maybe people who don't know as much about boxing as you, and say, well, Lewis apparently landed 348 punches, Holyfield 130 punches, and you call it a draw. They don't understand how you could have scored that.
That's because it was done by a computer. It was done by a computer, wasn't it? And we saw the farce of the farcical use of computers in the Olympic boxing. Because so many punches were thrown, it doesn't mean to say they all landed on target and correctly, etc., etc. You can't judge a fight like that. Those statistics are very misleading.
How can you put that straight for people? Because that's the impression that people have now got. I mean, a lot of people in prominent positions connected with boxing are suggesting that, you know, this is merely underlined that the sport is corrupt, and that can't be a thought you share.
That's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. The sport is not corrupt as far as I'm concerned. Everyone I deal with, the New York State Commission, the border control in this country are brilliant. The New York State Commission are very strong people that I support. They're very good people. They're very honest people. So there's no corruption there at all. And as for promoters,
we
do not talk to promoters beforehand, apart from shake their hand and say hello. We know nothing as that's concerned. We are honest. And if I wasn't honest and I had integrity, would I have been asked to do the fight in the first place?
You're going to carry on judging boxing, Mr. O'Connell?
Have there any reason why I shouldn't? You tell me a reason why I shouldn't.
Good news. We'll look forward to seeing you at the next bout. Larry O'Connell, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
What was there? It was a draw.
But most in the game side with Lewis.
It would be more feasible to say that my skin was white than for that fight to be called a draw. Lennox Lewis is the undisputed world heavyweight champion.
He beat him up with his jab perfectly, and his jab was scoring all night. Just as Lennox said, there was no way on earth that he lost that fight. It was a complete robbery.
And in the Lennox Lewis gym in London, further amazement.
I thought the only judge who could have seen the fifth round going to Evander Holyfield would have been Stevie Wonder.
I knew that he was going to have to do it when he went to America, because you don't come out of there with a points decision, you know. but it's definitely a travesty. There's no doubt in my mind that Lennox won it, you know.
There's talk of the rematch happening in Toronto or maybe even in the UK. Wherever it happens, it can't happen soon enough for this man.
After waiting 10 years for his big chance, Lewis will now have to wait a little while longer before trying to right what he, his camp and most of the boxing world sees as a monumental injustice. Phil Edwards, Sky Sports.
Well, we're joined now by Larry O'Connell, the British judge at Madison Square Garden. Larry, thanks for joining us. You said after the fight that you thought there might be some stick coming your way. Have you been surprised at just how much stick?
No, not really, under the circumstances, because quite frankly, this was a high-profile fight. More people thought that Lennox Lewis won than lost, so consequently you're bound to get some feedback on that, and there was a vast amount of people who were very emotional that night about the contest. The way I look at it, there was one judge had it 3 one way, another judge had it 3 the other way, and I was right in the middle. That doesn't sound too bad to me in actual fact, but sure, I'm bound to get all this nonsense from everybody. It happens all the time. I'm not Jesus Christ.
With the gift of hindsight, would you have scored it any differently if you were looking at a videotape?
No, of course I wouldn't. Of course I wouldn't. The one thing you've got to remember is, why was I chosen to do this fight in the first place? Because of my integrity and because of my experience. I've been a distinguished referee for about 23 years now. Why should they, now they've picked me and I've done the job, why should my integrity be at stake here?
Larry, who is the undisputed champion of the world?
Well, the next fight will tell us, I hope. It's between those two. The one good thing about this fight, the one thing that should have been good about this fight, it was for the undisputed world heavyweight champion. That's why there's so much emotion about this. I think there's no question now. I think that Lennox Lewis should win this fight. He's got so much confidence after this fight, I would believe that he must go out there and do a lot more work.
Have you got a message for Lennox Lewis?
Believe me, Lennox, you are the epitome of what's good about heavyweight boxing. You are the epitome of what's good about sport in a way, because these days there's so many spoiled brats, but he does everything by the book. He's a regular guy and he talks well of everybody. I hope he doesn't think bad of me. I gave it a draw. I didn't give it against him.
Larry O'Connell, thanks for your time.